Reality shouldn't scream, but on a Tuesday afternoon in Times Square, it did. The sound came first. Not the usual chaos of Manhattan, honking taxis, street performers, tourists, but something else, something wrong. A high-pitched keening that made windows vibrate and dogs howl 3 blocks away. Then came the light, gold and crimson, tearing through the sky like someone had taken a knife to the fabric of the universe itself. The air tasted like copper and ozone. People stopped, looked up. A massive fissure hung above Times Square, rotating slowly, impossibly, edges crackling with energy that hurt to look at directly. Through the tear, glimpses of something else. Another sky, golden clouds, architecture that defied physics. Gravity hiccuped. A taxi lifted 3 feet off the ground, hovered, dropped. The driver screamed. A street vendor's cart flew sideways into a Starbucks window. Glass exploded outward in slow motion, each shard catching the unnatural light and scattering it like 1,000 tiny prisms. Time felt thick, syrupy, wrong. Then something fell through the rift. No, someone. A figure tumbled from the tear in reality, trailing golden light like a comet, small, humanoid, spinning wildly. The figure hit a taxi roof with a sound like a thunderclap, crumpling the metal like aluminum foil. The vehicle bounced, flipped end over end, and crashed into a streetlight. The figure stood up in the wreckage. He was small, maybe 5.5 feet tall, slender but wiry, dressed in ornate armor that looked ancient and impossibly intricate. Golden scale mail over red and yellow robes, a phoenix feather cap perched at a jaunty angle. His face was simian, not quite monkey, not quite human, covered in fine golden fur. Dark eyes scanned the surroundings with confusion and something else. Recognition that he was somewhere completely foreign. In his hand, a staff, red and gold, ornus, bands at each end, covered in ancient script that seemed to glow faintly. Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, great sage equal to heaven, looked at Times Square like a man seeing the ocean for the first time. "Where?" he muttered in Mandarin, voice rough. "This isn't the Western heaven. This isn't anywhere I know." Behind Wukong, the rift pulsed, expanded. Something else was coming through. A screech that made the reality scream sound like a whisper, chittering, clicking, dozens of somethings. The creatures that poured through the dimensional tear looked like someone had crossed an insect with a nightmare and given it teeth. 6 legs, each ending in scythe-like blades, eyeless heads that opened vertically to reveal rows of crystalline fangs, bodies that seemed to shift between solid and not solid, phasing in and out of normal space. Dimensional parasites, reality feeders. 10 of them, 20, 50. They scattered immediately, driven by instinct to consume, to feed on the stable reality of Earth. One landed on a bus. Bit down. The bus aged 50 years in 3 seconds. Paint peeling, metal rusting, windows shattering from corrosion. Passengers inside screamed and scrambled out. Another creature grabbed a tourist. The man's scream cut off as time around him fractured. He flickered between young and old, his body unable to decide which moment it existed in. Civilians ran, stampeded, trampled each other in panic. A mother lost her grip on her daughter's hand. The little girl, maybe 6 years old, stood frozen in the middle of Broadway, creatures closing in from 3 directions. Wukong's head snapped toward the child. His eyes narrowed. He moved. One moment he stood in the taxi wreckage, the next he was in front of the girl, staff extended. The creature lunging for her hit the staff and simply stopped, froze mid-air, then exploded backward, shattering into fragments of not quite matter that dissolved before hitting the ground. "Run, little one," Wukong said. The girl didn't speak Mandarin, but she understood the tone. She ran. Wukong spun, his staff blurred. 3 creatures died before they could react, crushed, pulverized, erased. He moved like water, like lightning, like something. That didn't have to obey the normal rules of motion. A creature dove at him from above. He didn't look up, just raised one hand casually, caught it by the face, squeezed. It popped like a grape. More creatures. A dozen converged on him at once. Wukong's eyes flashed gold. 7-2 transformations, he whispered. Then louder. Clone technique. He pulled a hair from his head, blew on it. The hair multiplied into 50 perfect copies of himself, each wielding an identical staff. The clones scattered, each engaging multiple creatures. The real Wukong leapt straight up, staff extending as he rose. The Rui Jingu Bang grew, and grew, and grew. In seconds, it was 200 feet long, as thick as a sequoia. Wukong swung it like a baseball bat. The impact created a shockwave that shattered every window within a block. 15 creatures were swatted from the sky like insects, smashing into buildings, pavement, each other. On the ground, civilians stared. Someone filmed on their phone. Someone else whispered, "What the hell is that thing?" Wukong landed in a crouch, staff shrinking back to normal size. He scanned for more threats, spotted a building beginning to collapse. Creatures had destabilized its foundation, people trapped inside, upper floors tilting. He moved again, appeared beneath the building, planted his feet, placed both hands against the structure. Thousands of tons of concrete and steel groaned as the building continued its fall. Wukong didn't move, didn't bend, didn't even strain. He just held it. One person, holding an entire building. Muscles didn't bulge. He wasn't sweating. He just stood there, casual as someone holding a door open, while emergency services evacuated the people inside. A creature lunged at his exposed back. Without looking, Wukong's tail whipped out. He had a tail, long and prehensile, and caught the creature, slammed it into the pavement hard enough to create a crater. The tail retracted. Wukong still held the building. 90 seconds later, the last civilian was out. Wukong gently, impossibly gently, lowered the building to the ground, undamaged. Then he was back in the air, hunting the remaining creatures. 3 miles away, Avengers Tower lit up like a Christmas tree. Fridays. Voice echoed through Tony Stark's workshop. "Sir, we have a situation. Massive dimensional breach detected in Times Square. Energy readings are unprecedented." Tony looked up from his workbench, arc reactor humming. "Define unprecedented." "Off every known scale, sir. The energy signature doesn't match any dimensional incursion on record. And there's something else. A biological entity. Readings suggest, well, it's impossible, sir." "I'll be the judge of impossible. Suit up." "Already prepared, sir. Shall I alert the others?" "Everyone, whatever this is, we go in full strength." The Mark 85 armor assembled around Tony piece by piece. He watched the live feed from Times Square on his HUD, watched a small figure, was that a monkey, destroy creatures with casual ease, watch that same figure catch a building. "Friday, what exactly are we looking at?" I'm not certain, sir. But if the readings are accurate, that entity is operating outside conventional physics. Mass, energy, force, none of it adds up." "Great. My favorite kind of Tuesday." Tony activated the repulsors. "Let's go meet our new friend." In Times Square, Wukong destroyed the last visible creature. His staff spun in his hands, golden aura fading slightly. He looked around, panting just a bit. The rift above still pulsed, still rotated, still leaked that wrong light, and through it, something massive stirred. A shadow, huge beyond comprehension, moving toward the opening. Whatever had sent those creatures was just the appetizer. Wukong gripped his staff tighter, eyes narrowing as he stared up at the rift. "Oh," he muttered, "this one looks troublesome." The shadow's eye appeared in the tear. Just the eye. It was the size of a city block, and it was looking directly at him. The massive eye blinked. The rift tore wider. A limb, tentacle, appendage, something that geometry couldn't properly describe, began pushing through. Iron Man arrived first. Red and gold armor screaming across the sky at Mark 3, repulsors flaring. Tony hit his air brakes hard, hovering 50 feet above the chaos. His HUD was going haywire. Energy readings, dimensional instability warnings, structural damage assessments, and in the center of it all, one very confused-looking monkey man. Friday, please tell me that's just a really aggressive cosplayer. I'm afraid not, sir. Energy readings are off every known scale. The entity appears to be generating its own gravitational field. Of course it is. Tony's targeting systems locked onto the massive thing emerging from the rift. Because normal Tuesdays are for normal people. The creature pulled itself further through. Scales, teeth, eyes in wrong places. It was the size of a skyscraper and still growing. Its roar shook windows in New Jersey. Wukong looked up at it, sighed. I really don't have time for this. He stamped his foot once. A golden cloud materialized beneath him, fluffy, glowing, impossible. He stepped onto it and shot upward like a rocket, staff already extending. Tony blinked. Did that monkey just summon a cloud? Yes, sir. Right. Sure, why not? The creature's tentacle lashed out. Wukong didn't dodge, he met it head-on, staff connecting with alien flesh. The impact created a sonic boom that rattled teeth a mile away. The tentacle recoiled, smoking. Wukong pressed the advantage, staff becoming a blur of gold and red as he pummeled the emerging horror. A shield whistled through the air, ricocheted off the creature's hide, and returned to Steve Rogers' hand. Captain America sprinted into Times Square, shield up, tactical assessment already running. Behind him, Black Widow and Hawkeye took positions on rooftops. Stark, report. Dimensional breach. One really big ugly and one really small monkey who fights like a god, the usual. A web line shot from between buildings. Spider-Man swung into view, landed on a lamppost. Mr. Stark, is that... oh man, is that the actual Monkey King? From Journey to the West? That's so cool. Focus, kid. Thunder rolled, lightning split the sky. Thor landed with hammer in hand, Stormbreaker on his back, eyes crackling with electricity. I felt the disturbance from Asgard. What manner of beast is this? The creature was halfway through now, thrashing, destroying. A tentacle smashed into a building. The structure groaned, began to collapse. People still inside, screaming. Wukong heard them, abandoned his assault on the main creature, dove toward the building. Dozens of his hair clones materialized, each catching falling civilians. The original Wukong caught the largest piece of debris, a section of wall the size of a bus, and threw it aside like cardboard. Civilians first, he shouted in Mandarin. Friday translated for the team. Tony's eyebrows rose. Okay, maybe he's one of the good guys. We must evacuate the area, Steve ordered. Nat, Clint, get these people out. Thor, with me. We need to drive that thing back through the portal. What about Kung Fu Monkey? Tony asked. We figure that out after we save lives. The Avengers moved like a well-oiled machine. Widow and Hawkeye coordinated evacuation. Steve directed civilians to safe zones. Thor launched himself at the creature, Stormbreaker crackling. Peter web-slung civilians to safety while quipping nervously. And Wukong fought. He multiplied himself again, 10 copies, 20, 50, each one rescuing people while simultaneously battling the smaller creatures still pouring from the rift. The coordination was impossible. Each clone acted independently, yet perfectly in sync. They saved a woman from a collapsing car, pulled 3 people from a subway entrance, stopped a bus from rolling into a crater. Thor's hammer struck the main creature. Lightning cascaded. The beast screamed, retaliated. A massive limb swept toward Thor. Thor, down! Steve yelled. Thor ducked. The tentacle passed overhead, kept going, straight toward a group of civilians Steve was evacuating. No time. Too far. Steve couldn't reach them. Wukong could. He appeared in front of the civilians, staff horizontal. The tentacle hit him. The force should have liquefied him. Should have sent him through 3 buildings. Instead, Wukong's feet dug inch-deep furrows in the asphalt as he slid backward. 20 feet. 30. He stopped, muscles tense but not straining. He caught it, stopped it cold. The civilians stared. Steve stared. Thor stared. Wukong grinned, all teeth, pure combat joy. Then he twisted, using the creature's own momentum against it. Judo throw. A skyscraper-sized monstrosity flipped through the air and slammed into the street hard enough to register on seismographs. "Okay," Tony said. "He's definitely not human." The creature thrashed. More tentacles, more chaos. The Avengers engaged fully now. Iron Man's repulsors carved glowing lines. Thor's lightning turned night to day. Steve's shield became a blur. Peter webbed tentacles, yanking them away from civilians. Wukong fought alongside them without coordination, didn't need orders, saw what needed doing and did it. When a tentacle went for Tony's blind spot, Wukong was there. When Peter got grabbed, Wukong's staff extended and knocked the appendage loose. When Steve needed an opening, Wukong created one. They fell into a rhythm, unplanned, organic, effective. Thor brought down massive lightning. The creature convulsed, started retreating toward the rift. One last desperate lunge, tentacles shooting toward the ground like a spear, targeting the subway entrance where dozens huddled. Wukong moved faster than thought, planted himself in the path, caught the tentacle with both hands, his golden aura flared blindingly bright. "Not today." He ripped the tentacle clean off. The creature howled, withdrew into the rift. The tear began closing, dimensional energy collapsing inward. In seconds, it sealed. Gone. Reality smooth again, though the destruction remained. Silence. Just breathing. Sirens in the distance. Smoke rising. Wukong stood in the center of Times Square, staff across his shoulders, surrounded by destruction and saved lives. His clones dissolved back into individual hairs that drifted to the ground. The Avengers converged on him. Steve approached first, shield lowered but ready. "Thank you for your help. Who are you?" Wukong turned, looked at them, 6 of Earth's mightiest heroes, didn't recognize a single one. "I am Sun Wukong," he said. Friday, translated in real time. "Great sage equal to heaven, protector of my master on the journey west." He looked around, confusion creeping into his voice. "Where is this place? This is not the Western Heaven. This is not anywhere I know." "You're in New York," Tony said, faceplate retracting. "Earth. You know, the third rock from the sun." Wukong's brow furrowed. "Earth. But I was traveling through the celestial realm. How did I—" He looked at where the rift had been. Understanding dawned. "The portal. It pulled me through." "The what now?" Peter landed next to Tony. "Wait, you're the Sun Wukong? The actual Monkey King from Journey to the West? Oh man, this is so cool. I read about you. Well, okay, I watched the animated movies, but still." Wukong looked at the young hero, smiled slightly. "You know of me? Know of you? Dude, you're legendary. The 72 transformations, the cloud surfing, the whole equal to heaven thing." Peter stopped. "Wait, if you're here, does that mean magic is real? Is your world real? Are there other dimensions?" "Kid, focus," Tony said. Then to Wukong, "You're saying you're from another dimension?" "I do not know your words for it. I am from another realm. The celestial bureaucracy. Heaven." Thor stepped forward, interest clear. "Another realm. Which of the 9 is it?" "9?" Wukong shook his head. "I know of no 9 realms. I know of heaven, earth, and the underworld. The celestial court, the Jade Emperor, Buddha, the—" "Okay, definitely not from around here," Tony interrupted. "Friday, you getting this?" "Yes, sir. His energy signature is consistent with extra-dimensional origin. And sir, the power readings are concerning. He's generating more energy standing still than the Hulk does in combat." Wukong noticed their stances, guarded, ready. He straightened. "You do not trust me. We just met," Steve said carefully, "and you're clearly extremely powerful. We need to understand the situation." "I understand caution." Wukong's staff shrunk to the size of a needle. He tucked it behind his ear. "I mean no harm to innocents. I protect those who cannot protect themselves. This is my way. Your way involved ripping a tentacle off something the size of a building, Tony pointed out. It was trying to kill people. Fair point. An alarm blared. Friday's voice. Sirs, multiple contacts. The rift. It's reopening. Smaller tiers forming across the city. 20, 40, 60 breaches. More creatures poured through the new rifts. Hundreds, all converging on Times Square. On them. Steve's jaw set. Avengers. Wait. Wukong held up a hand. Allow me. There's too many. Steve started. Wukong plucked a handful of hairs from his head. Blew on them. The hairs multiplied. 100 copies. 200. 500 perfect duplicates of Sun Wukong, each armed with an identical staff. The army of Monkey Kings smiled in unison. Now the numbers are even. They scattered, a golden wave of destruction. Every clone moved with the original skill, power, precision. Creatures died by the dozens, by the hundreds. The Avengers could only watch as one being fought an entire dimensional invasion and won. In 90 seconds, it was over. Every creature destroyed, every rift sealed. The clones vanished. Wukong stood alone, not even breathing hard. Okay, Tony said into the stunned silence. So he's slightly overpowered. Thor laughed, genuine, delighted. By Odin's beard, your strength is magnificent. How did you achieve such power? Centuries of training, enlightenment, eating the peaches of immortality, drinking the elixir of life, achieving Buddhahood. Wukong shrugged. The usual path. The usual. Tony started. Reality froze. Time stopped. Everyone except Wukong locked mid-motion, mid-breath. A portal opened, not dimensional, something else, deeper. A figure stepped through, cloak billowing, crimson and gold, the eye of Agamotto glowing at his chest. Doctor Strange, face grave. I felt the dimensional breach from Kamartaj, he said, looking directly at Wukong, and something much worse felt it too. Wukong tensed. Who are you? Someone who understands the cosmic order, and who knows what happens when that order is violated. Strange's expression was grim. The living tribunal is coming, and it doesn't like anomalies. The frozen world trembled. Somewhere beyond reality, something ancient and vast turned its attention toward Earth, toward Sun Wukong. Time resumed. The Avengers unfroze, mid-breath becoming full breath, unaware anything had changed. Strange's arrival looked instantaneous to them, a portal opening, the Sorcerer Supreme stepping through. Strange? Steve lowered his shield slightly. What's the situation? Complicated. Strange's eyes never left Wukong. This being doesn't belong to our reality. His presence is creating ripples across dimensional boundaries. Every magic user on the planet felt it. And worse, things beyond our dimension felt it too. Wukong crossed his arms. I did not choose to come here. I know. That doesn't change what you are. An anomaly. A variable the universe didn't account for. Strange gestured, golden mandalas appearing in the air, scanning. Your energy signature is extraordinary. 7 distinct types of immortality. Buddha nature resonance, divine essence. You're a walking violation of thermodynamics. I get that a lot, Wukong said dryly. Tony stepped forward. Okay, time out. Strange, you're saying this guy is a dimensional refugee? More or less. The breach wasn't natural. Something tore him from his reality and deposited him here. Strange's expression tightened, and his presence is destabilizing the cosmic balance. The living tribunal will respond. We need to understand what we're dealing with before that happens. Then let us understand, Thor said. Great sage, would you accompany us? We mean no imprisonment, only knowledge. Wukong studied them. 6 warriors who had fought beside him without question, who had saved lives while he saved lives. His instincts, honed over centuries, read no deception. Very well, but I am no prisoner. Wouldn't dream of it, Tony said. Friday, prep the compound, and maybe call Bruce. We're going to need the big guy. Avengers compound, training facility, reinforced walls rated for Hulk-level impacts. Wukong stood in the center, staff resting across his shoulders, while Earth's mightiest heroes prepared their tests. Strange had teleported them directly. Wukong had been impressed by the portal magic, though he didn't show it. Tony worked a console, sensors aimed at Wukong from every angle. Okay, Monkey King, let's start simple. Friday, baseline scan. Scanning. Sir, the readings don't make sense. Elaborate. His cellular structure exists in a state of quantum superposition. He's simultaneously solid matter and pure energy. His mass fluctuates between 80 kilograms and infinite. Temporal markers suggest he's experiencing multiple time frames at once. In English, he shouldn't exist, but he does, aggressively. Wukong grinned. I ate the peaches of immortality from the Queen Mother's garden. They granted eternal life. Then I drank the elixir from Laozi's furnace. That granted immunity to the 5 elements. Then I achieved enlightenment under Buddha's teaching. That freed me from the wheel of reincarnation. Then... How many times did you become immortal? Steve asked. 7 distinct methods, each one layered on the previous. I cannot die, cannot age, cannot be harmed by conventional means. I exist outside normal fate. Thor's eyes gleamed. Fascinating. We must test this. Come, strike me with your full strength. Thor, Steve started. It is fine, Captain. I wish to see what a being of his caliber can do. Thor summoned Stormbreaker, lightning crackling. Do not hold back, great sage. Wukong's grin widened. As you wish, Thunder God. He moved. One moment standing still, next moment in front of Thor, staff extended, casual swing. The impact sent Thor through 3 reinforced walls. He landed in the parking lot, smoking. Silence. Thor stood up, laughing. Actual joy. Magnificent, again. Thor, are you okay? Peter called. Better than okay. This is glorious. Thor flew back through the holes in the walls. Your strength rivals the greatest warriors I've known. Where did you train? Beneath a waterfall in Flower Fruit Mountain, in the depths of the Eastern Ocean, under the Bodhi tree, in battles against heaven's armies. Wukong's eyes distant with memory. 500 years imprisoned under a mountain taught me patience. Guarding my master taught me purpose. Your master? Steve asked. Tripitaka, a monk seeking sacred scriptures. I was bound to protect him on a journey west to retrieve Buddha's sutras. We faced demons, monsters, gods who opposed us. His voice softened. I was arrogant once, declared myself equal to heaven. The Jade Emperor had to request Buddha's intervention to stop me. Tony whistled. You fought your way into mythology. Respect. I fought because I knew no other way, until Tripitaka showed me there was more than power. There was purpose, compassion, the way. The Hulk entered through a reinforced door, Banner's consciousness still at the surface. Heard we have a test subject, someone who can actually take a hit. Big green man, Wukong's eyes lit up. You are a warrior? Something like that. Hulk cracked his knuckles. Tony says you're tough, let's see. Hulk charged, fist like a wrecking ball, full strength, aimed at Wukong's chest. Wukong didn't dodge, didn't block, just stood there. The fist connected, the floor cracked, shock waves rippled outward. Wukong didn't move, not an inch, didn't even shift his weight. He looked down at Hulk's fist pressed against his chest, then up at Hulk's face. Good punch, Wukong said. My turn. He poked Hulk's chest, one finger, gentle tap. Hulk stumbled backward 3 steps, blinking in surprise. How? Hulk rumbled. I once held up the heavens themselves when they threatened to fall. Your strength is impressive, but I have lifted mountains, fought armies, wrestled celestial guardians. No boast, just fact. Would you like to try again? Yeah, I would. They sparred. Not true combat, testing, feeling each other out. Hulk's massive fists met Wukong's staff, each impact thunderous. The facility shook. Tony's sensors screamed. Wukong flowed like water, every movement precise, minimal, efficient. He wasn't trying to hurt Hulk, just measuring, responding, demonstrating. When Hulk grabbed for him, Wukong transformed into a sparrow and flew away, reforming behind him. When Hulk jumped, Wukong was already in the air, riding his golden cloud. After 5 minutes, Hulk stopped, breathing hard, grinning. "Good fight. You have warrior's spirit," Wukong said, bowing slightly. "I respect this." Hulk bowed back, Banner's influence showing. Strange approached, hands weaving intricate patterns. "Now let me examine the dimensional aspects. Hold still." Golden energy flowed around Wukong, scanned him, probed. Strange's eyes widened behind his analytical spells. "Impossible." "What?" Tony asked. "His Buddha nature. It's genuine. He's achieved actual enlightenment, complete cosmic awareness. He could perceive the entire universe if he focused." Strange's voice held awe. "And his dimensional signature, it's not from any reality connected to our cosmic tree. He's from a completely separate multiversal structure." "Meaning?" Steve asked. "Meaning there are infinite realities branching from our cosmic origin point. He's not from any of them. He's from a completely different tree. A different cosmology entirely. Chinese celestial bureaucracy versus our cosmic entities. Different rules, different physics, different fundamental forces." "That is why I do not know your realms," Wukong said. "In my world, there is heaven ruled by the Jade Emperor, earth where mortals dwell, and the underworld governed by Yama. Above all, Buddha and the Celestial Court maintain order. And here," Strange said grimly, "we have the living tribunal, the one above all, the cosmic entities that maintain our multiversal structure, and they will not appreciate a foreign element disrupting their order. I do not seek disruption, I seek only to return home. That may not be possible. The dimensional barriers between separate cosmologies are absolute. The breach that brought you here was catastrophic, a once-in-eternity event. Recreating it could destroy both realities." Wukong's face fell, just for a moment, a crack in his confident facade. "Then I am trapped here?" "We'll find a way," Steve said firmly. "We've faced impossible odds before." "Captain Rogers speaks truth," Thor added. "You fought beside us, saved lives. We will aid you however we can." Peter swung down from the ceiling. "Yeah, and honestly, having the Monkey King around is pretty awesome. You could teach me some moves, like the 72 transformations thing. Can you really turn into anything?" Wukong's smile returned, smaller but genuine. "I can become a flea or a mountain, a bird or a tree, water or stone." He transformed into Peter's exact duplicate, or a nervous young spider. "Whoa," both Peters said simultaneously. Wukong shifted back. "I thank you for your kindness. In my world I had companions, my sworn brothers, my master. Here I am." He trailed off. "Not alone," Steve finished. "Not if you don't want to be." The moment stretched, warm, fragile, hopeful. Then the room froze again. But this time, everyone froze. Even Strange. Even Wukong felt the pressure. Reality bent. The walls became transparent. Space folded. And into the training facility stepped a being of absolute cosmic authority. 3 faces, gold, silver, bronze, each facing a different direction. Impossible geometry, presence that made Wukong's power look like a candle next to the sun. The living tribunal. Its voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "Anomaly, your presence violates the sanctity of this reality. Explain why I should not erase you." Wukong gripped his staff. For the first time since arriving, he looked genuinely worried. Time held its breath. The living tribunal existed in 3 dimensions simultaneously: past, present, future. all converging in this single moment. Its presence wasn't just physical, it was conceptual, the very idea of cosmic law made manifest. Wukong stood his ground, staff in hand, golden aura flickering to life. Every instinct screamed danger. This being made the Jade Emperor look like a village magistrate, made Buddha's presence feel warm and welcoming by comparison. This was law itself, absolute, uncompromising. "I did not choose to come here," Wukong said, voice steady despite the pressure crushing down on him. "A dimensional breach pulled me from my realm." "Irrelevant. Your presence creates paradox. Two separate cosmologies cannot occupy the same space without consequence. You are Buddha, yet you exist in a reality governed by different cosmic principles. This threatens collapse." Strange's astral form manifested, the only way he could move under this pressure. Living tribunal, he saved lives since arriving, fought to protect innocence. His actions demonstrate intent is irrelevant, consequence is all. His mere existence generates quantum instability. Every moment he remains, the fabric of this reality weakens. "Then, make it stronger," Wukong said. The three faces turned toward him, focused. The weight increased tenfold. "You dare command the living tribunal?" "I dare nothing. I suggest everything." Wukong's eyes blazed gold. "I am Sun Wukong. I was imprisoned under a mountain for 500 years for my arrogance. I learned humility. I learned patience. But I also learned that power exists to protect those who cannot protect themselves. A Buddha who clings to violence. A warrior who achieved enlightenment. They are not mutually exclusive." Wukong's grip tightened on his staff. "Enlightenment taught me that all life is connected, that suffering must be ended where possible. You speak of cosmic balance. What balance exists in erasing a being who has done no harm? Your existence is the harm. Then I will be careful." Wukong's voice rose, not in anger, in passion. "I will limit my power. I will submit to observation. I will do whatever is required, but I will not stand idle while innocents suffer, and I will not be caged again." The tribunal was silent, judging, calculating, measuring. Strange spoke carefully. "There may be precedent. Thor exists here from Asgard. The Eternals were seeded by Celestials. Different cosmic origins coexisting in one reality. If Wukong's presence could be contained, monitored, perhaps. The Asgardians are of this cosmology. The Eternals were designed for this reality. He is not. He is foreign, invasive, a virus in the cosmic code." "I am a person." Wukong's aura exploded outward. For just a moment, his Buddha nature fully manifested, golden light, infinite compassion, cosmic awareness. The training facility dissolved, replaced by pure enlightenment space. "I have walked the path to enlightenment. I have suffered. I have grown. I have loved and lost and learned. You cannot reduce me to a threat classification." The tribunal's three faces showed something that might have been surprise. You truly are enlightened. Not metaphorically, not symbolically. You have achieved actual cosmic awareness. "Yes." Wukong's light dimmed back to manageable levels. The facility reformed. "I sat beneath the Bodhi tree. I understood the nature of suffering, of desire, of the self and the non-self. I achieved what your reality might call Omega-level consciousness, and I chose to return to action, to help, to protect." This changes the equation. Strange's astral form solidified. It does. Enlightenment is a universal constant. It exists beyond cosmology, beyond individual realities. A Buddha is a Buddha regardless of origin point. The tribunal's middle face, equity, spoke directly to Wukong. "You have achieved something that transcends your native reality. This grants you flexibility." "Meaning?" Wukong asked. "Meaning you may remain, conditionally." Hope flared in Wukong's chest. "What conditions?" "First, you must not disrupt cosmic balance. No reality manipulation, no time alteration, no universal scale interventions. Agreed. Second, you submit to monitoring. The Sorcerer Supreme will track your dimensional signature. Any destabilization will be immediately addressed. Agreed. Third, you operate under this reality's cosmic hierarchy. You are not subject to your Jade Emperor here. You answer to this universe's authorities. Wukong hesitated. I am no one's servant. Not servitude, cooperation. You work with this reality's defenders, not above them, not apart from them. That I can accept. Fourth, Earth becomes responsible for your actions. If you violate these terms, they will answer for it. Steve's frozen form somehow conveyed objection, even motionless. Wukong's jaw tightened. I will not bring harm to others through my actions. You have my word. And when I give my word, I keep it. Then these terms are set. Violation results in immediate erasure. No trial, no appeal. Do you understand? I understand. Final warning. Your presence here is tolerated, not welcomed. Tread carefully, Sun Wukong. The eyes of infinity are upon you. The tribunal vanished. Time resumed. The Avengers stumbled, caught mid-breath. Only Strange remained steady, having experienced the entire conversation through astral projection. What just happened? Tony gasped. The living tribunal appeared, Strange said quietly. It judged Wukong. He's been granted conditional asylum in our reality. Asylum? Steve looked at Wukong. You're staying? I have no choice. The tribunal made clear, returning to my reality could destroy both cosmologies. The breach that brought me here was... Wukong's voice cracked slightly. Irreversible. The weight of it settled. Everyone felt it. Thor especially. He understood being cut off from home. Then you are one of us now, Thor said firmly. We will stand with you. Stand with me? Wukong looked around. We barely know each other. You fought beside us, Steve said. Saved lives without question. That's enough. Is it? Wukong's facade finally cracked. The confident warrior, the great sage. It all fell away. In my world, I had purpose. A master to protect, a journey to complete. Brothers who stood with me for centuries. Here I am. Nothing. No one. A refugee bound by cosmic law to a world I don't understand. Peter stepped forward. You're not nothing. You're a hero. In my world, here I don't even know what that means. It means the same thing everywhere, Steve said. Someone who stands up when others can't, who fights when it would be easier to run, who sacrifices for strangers. He met Wukong's eyes. You've already done all that. Today. One day does not a hero make. Then let us make many days, Thor offered. You speak of your brothers. We offer you new brotherhood, not to replace what you lost, but to give you something new. Wukong looked at them, really looked. Tony in his armor, brilliant and sarcastic. Steve with his shield, moral and unshakable. Thor crackling with lightning, warrior to warrior. Peter young and earnest. Strange, mystical and understanding. Even Hulk, who had reverted to Banner, offered a respectful nod. I don't know how to be part of your world. None of us did at first, Tony said. Steve woke up 70 years out of time. Thor fell from Asgard. Banner fought what he was for years. Strange lost everything to gain his powers. We all had to find our place. And you found it together. Eventually. Took some work, some fights, some really bad shawarma. Tony shrugged. But yeah, we found it. Wukong's staff shrank. He tucked it behind his ear. Suddenly he looked smaller, younger, just a monkey who'd journeyed too far from home. I miss them, he said quietly. Tripitaka, Bajie and Wujing, Sandy and my horse dragon, even the demons we fought, they were my world, my story. And now you write a new chapter, Steve said, with us, if you want. The moment hung, fragile as spider silk, heavy as mountains. Then alarms blared. Friday's voice cut through. Major dimensional breach detected. Central Park. Energy signature matches the one that brought Mr. Wukong here, but amplified. Something's coming through intentionally. Can we have one quiet afternoon? Tony muttered. Strange's hands moved, opening a viewing portal. In Central Park, reality tore open, controlled, precise, and through it stepped a figure wreathed in shadow and purple energy. The figure's voice echoed across the city. "Come, great sage, I know what you desire most. I can give it to you." On the viewing portal, the figure fully materialized. Ancient armor, eyes that had witnessed eons, power that bent space around him. Nightmare, lord of the dream dimension, and behind him something vast stirred something that smelled like home, like flower fruit mountain, like incense from a temple and peaches from heaven's garden. Wukong's breath caught, his hands trembled. "He's showing you an illusion," Strange warned. "Don't." "I know what it is," Wukong whispered, but his eyes remained fixed on the portal, on the impossible image of home. Strange's portal expanded. The shadowy figure loomed larger. Energy signatures spiked across every monitor in the compound. Then it flickered, destabilized. The image wavered like a mirage in desert heat. "Wait," Strange said, hands moving in complex patterns. "This doesn't make sense. The energy signature is collapsing. It's not a full breach, it's..." His eyes widened. "It's an echo, residual energy from the original breach that brought Wukong here." The figure in the portal dissolved. The tear sealed. Monitors returned to normal. "False alarm?" Tony lowered his gauntlets. "Friday, confirm." "Confirmed, sir. No active dimensional breach, just residual quantum fluctuations from the earlier event. They should dissipate within the hour." Everyone exhaled. Tension drained from the room, except Wukong. He stood frozen, staring at where the image had been. His hands still trembled slightly. "You okay?" Peter asked. Wukong blinked, composed himself. "Yes, I am fine." But his voice lacked conviction. Steve noticed. Thor noticed. Strange definitely noticed. "It's getting late," Steve said carefully. "Why don't we call it a day? Wukong, you're welcome to stay here. We have guest quarters." "I would not wish to impose." "You're not." Steve's tone left no room for argument. "You helped save the city today. Least we can do is offer a bed." Wukong nodded slowly. "Then I accept. Thank you." 3 hours later, night had fallen over the compound. Most of the team had dispersed, Tony to his workshop, Banner to the lab, Thor to the kitchen where he was methodically working through their food supplies. Peter had gone home with strict instructions to not tell Aunt May about the dimensional monkey god yet. Wukong stood on the compound's highest rooftop, looking up at stars he didn't recognize. The constellations were wrong. In his world, he could navigate by the celestial river, what mortals called the Milky Way, but which ran different paths depending on whether you viewed it from Earth or heaven. Here, the stars formed patterns he'd never seen, foreign, alien, proof that he was impossibly far from home. His hand reached up unconsciously, touching the staff tucked behind his ear. Rui Jingu Bang, the iron pillar from the Dragon King's treasury. It had been his companion for centuries, longer than he'd protected Tripitaka, longer than he'd known his sworn brothers. This staff had been with him when he declared himself great sage equal to heaven, when he fought the armies of the Jade Emperor, when Buddha imprisoned him under 5 Elements Mountain. Now it was all he had left. "Mind if I join you?" Wukong turned. Steve Rogers stood at the rooftop access door, shield absent, just a man in casual clothes. "The roof is yours as much as mine." Steve walked over, stood beside him, looked up at the same alien sky. "Can't sleep?" "Sleep is optional when you're immortal. I simply chose not to. I get that. Some nights I lie awake for hours, thinking about the past, about everyone I lost." Steve's voice was quiet. "Everyone who's gone." Wukong glanced at him. "You understand displacement. I went into the ice in 1945, woke up in 2011, 70 years. Everyone I knew was dead or old. The world had moved on without me. Steve smiled sadly. So yeah, I understand being lost in time. But you were still on your Earth, your world. I am. Wukong's jaw tightened. Elsewhere. Elsewhen. Completely severed from everything I knew. What did you leave behind? Wukong was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer than Steve had heard, vulnerable. My master, Tripitaka, a Buddhist monk who was kind when he had no reason to be, who saw a demon imprisoned under a mountain and freed me, gave me purpose. He was weak, physically, I mean. No powers, no immortality, just a mortal man with an impossible mission, and I... He trailed off. You protected him. For hundreds of miles, through deserts and mountains and demon territories. There were times I wanted to abandon the journey, times my old arrogance surfaced and I thought, why should the great sage equal to heaven serve a mortal? But Tripitaka never wavered. His faith, not in Buddha, but in me, it changed me. Sounds like you loved him, like a father maybe, like a teacher, like a friend, like... Wukong struggled for words. Like the person who showed me I could be more than my worst impulses. Steve nodded, understanding intimately. I had brothers too, Wukong continued. Sworn brothers. Ju Baji, lazy, gluttonous, complained constantly, but stood with me when it mattered. Sha Wujing, quiet, dependable, the steady hand when Baji and I fought. Even our horse was a dragon in disguise, carrying Tripitaka when the road was too hard. His voice cracked. We were a family, dysfunctional, argumentative, but family. And now you can't get back to them. The living tribunal was clear. The dimensional barriers between cosmologies are absolute. Even if I could tear through, which would require power beyond even my capability, it would destroy both realities, kill trillions. Wukong's hands clenched. So I am here, alone, while they continue the journey without me, wondering what happened, thinking I abandoned them. Steve put a hand on Wukong's shoulder. I'm sorry. Why? You did not cause this. Doesn't matter. You're in pain. That's enough. Steve looked out at the compound grounds. When I woke up in this century, I felt the same way. Lost. Alone. Everyone I cared about was gone. I wanted to go back, tried to figure out time travel, alternate realities, anything. He smiled bitterly. Kept myself busy with missions, told myself I was fine, that I'd adjusted. Had you? No, not for years, not until... Steve gestured vaguely. Until I found new people to protect, a new mission. Tony, Nat, Clint, the others, they weren't replacements for what I lost, but they were something new, something worth fighting for. You found purpose again. I found family again. Different family, but family nonetheless. Steve met Wukong's eyes. You can too, if you want. Can I? Wukong's voice was barely a whisper. I am not of this world. I do not understand your customs, your technology, your way of being. I speak a language no one here knows natively. Even my enlightenment, my Buddha nature, it comes from a different cosmology. I am fundamentally foreign. So was Thor. So was Wanda. So was Vision. Steve shrugged. Being foreign doesn't mean being alone, unless you choose it to be. Wukong turned away, looking back at the stars. In my world, I was someone. The great sage, the Monkey King. Legends told of my battles. Children grew up hearing stories of my 72 transformations. I mattered. You matter here too. You saved hundreds of lives today. One day, one battle. That does not make me part of this world. No, Steve agreed. But it's a start, and every journey starts with a single step, right? Isn't that what your master would say? Wukong's laugh was short but genuine. He would. Then he would recite a sutra about patience and the path to enlightenment. He sobered. I miss his voice. They stood in silence, not uncomfortable, just two soldiers, separated from their times, sharing the weight of loss. The rooftop door opened again. Peter Parker emerged, carrying a pizza box and 3 bottles of soda. "Friday said you guys were up here. Figured you might be hungry." He set the box down on the roof edge. "Mr. Rogers doesn't sleep much either. Trauma buddies." Peter said it with such casual sincerity that both men blinked. "Kid, you can't just..." Steve started. "What? It's true. You told me yourself after the whole vulture thing. Sometimes the past keeps you awake." Peter looked at Wukong. "Bet you've got some past keeping you up too." Wukong stared at this young hero, 17 maybe, 18, barely more than a child, but carrying himself with the weight of someone who'd seen loss, felt responsibility. "You remind me of someone," Wukong said softly. "Yeah? Who?" "A young monk I met once, full of questions, eager, optimistic despite everything." Wukong's expression softened. He wanted to save everyone, couldn't accept that some people chose darkness. His master had to explain that you can show the path, but you cannot walk it for others. Peter absorbed that. Did he learn? Eventually, through pain and failure, through watching people he tried to save reject salvation. Wukong looked at Peter directly. "You have the same light in your eyes, the same desperate desire to help. It will hurt you, many times, but do not let it die." Peter nodded slowly. "I won't, I promise." "Good." Wukong sat on the roof edge, legs dangling. After a moment, Steve and Peter joined him. Peter opened the pizza box. "So, Mr. Wukong," "Just Wukong." "Wukong, what's it like being immortal? Like, do you ever get bored? Do you forget stuff from centuries ago? Can you taste food still, or does everything get bland?" Peter grabbed a slice. "Sorry, I ask a lot of questions when I'm nervous." "Why are you nervous?" "Dude, you're the Monkey King. You fought heaven itself. You achieved enlightenment. You're like legendary, and you're sitting here eating pizza with me." Wukong took a slice, examined it curiously, bit into it. His eyes widened. "What is this?" "Pepperoni. You like it?" "It's good. Strange, but good." Wukong took another bite. "To answer your questions, yes, immortality can be boring. Centuries pass, and mortals make the same mistakes repeatedly. Yes, I forget things. Small details from 1,000 years ago blur together. No, food never gets bland. Each era brings new flavors. This pizza, we had nothing like this in the Tang Dynasty. The Tang Dynasty was like way back, right? 618 to 907 by your calendar. I was already ancient then." Peter's jaw dropped. "How old are you?" "Old enough that counting loses meaning. I existed before your recorded history. I will exist long after." Wukong stared at his pizza. "Or I would have. Now I don't know." "The living tribunal thing?" Peter asked. "The isolation thing. Immortality without purpose is just existence. Empty existence." Steve spoke up. "Then find new purpose. Here, with us." "Doing what?" "I am a warrior, a protector. In my world, I had someone to protect. Here I barely understand the threats." "That's what learning is for," Peter said. "Like I didn't understand half of what was happening today. Giant dimensional monsters, the living tribunal, your whole 7 immortalities thing, completely over my head. But I helped anyway, because that's what heroes do." "Heroes," Wukong tested the word. "Is that what you call yourselves?" "It's what other people call us," Steve corrected. "We just call ourselves people trying to do the right thing." "And you think I could be part of that?" "You already are," Peter said simply. "You saved those people in Times Square. You fought beside us. You stood up to a cosmic entity. That's hero stuff." Wukong was quiet. Somewhere below, an owl hooted. The compound's night security lights painted shadows across the grounds. Inside, Tony was probably still working. Thor probably still eating. Banner probably still analyzing Wukong's energy signature. A world that wasn't his, people who weren't his brothers, a purpose he didn't fully understand. But sitting here, eating strange food with a soldier who understood displacement and a young hero who radiated hope, it felt less foreign, less alien. almost like belonging. "Thank you," Wukong said, "for the food, for the companionship, for not treating me like a threat." "Why would we?" Steve asked. "You've shown us who you are through your actions. Many would see power like mine and fear it. Fear is easy. Trust is harder, but more rewarding." Steve stood, stretched. "I'm going to try to get some sleep. You're welcome to stay up here as long as you want, or there's a guest room on the 3rd floor, second door on the left." "I will remain here for a while. The stars are wrong, but they are still beautiful." Steve nodded, started to leave, paused. "Wukong, what you said about finding purpose again, about your master showing you that you could be more than your worst impulses, that's what we do here. We help each other be better than we were yesterday. You're welcome to join that." He left. Peter stayed a moment longer. "He's right, you know, about the family thing." Peter stood too. "I lost my uncle. Mr. Stark became kind of a mentor. Then the team became, well, it's complicated, but they're important. Point is, family isn't just blood. It's who you choose to stand with." Wise words for one so young. Learned them from experience, the hard way. Peter headed for the door. "Don't stay up here all night, okay? Even immortals probably need rest sometimes." He disappeared inside. Wukong sat alone again, but it felt different now. Less like isolation, more like solitude, chosen, temporary. He pulled out his staff, let it grow to full size, all 17,500 pounds of it, spun it once, twice, muscle memory from 10,000 years of practice. Then he shrunk it again, tucked it away. In his world, he'd been the great sage equal to heaven. Here he was just Wukong, a refugee, a stranger. But maybe Steve was right. Maybe that could be enough. Maybe he could find. Every alarm in the compound screamed to life simultaneously. Friday's voice, urgent. Red alert, major dimensional breach, Central Park. This is not residual energy. Repeat, active controlled breach. Entity matching, extreme threat parameters emerging. Energy signature shows fusion of dream dimension magic and chaos energy. All Avengers to stations immediately. Wukong was on his feet instantly. Inside, lights blazed, doors slammed, the team mobilizing. On the nearest monitor, the image flickered to life, Central Park. A tear in reality, precise, controlled, nothing like the chaotic breach from earlier. And stepping through it, a figure wreathed in shadows and purple energy. Ancient armor, eyes that had witnessed eons, power that made the air around him shimmer. Nightmare, Lord of the Dream Dimension. But that wasn't what made Wukong's breath catch. Behind Nightmare, visible through the dimensional portal, was a vision. Golden clouds, pagodas with curved roofs, mountains that touched heaven, and in the distance, barely visible, a temple. 4 figures walking along a dusty road, one in monk's robes, one rotund and carrying a rake, one quiet with a staff, one small and simian on a golden cloud. His journey, his brothers, his master, continuing without him. Nightmare's voice echoed across the compound's speakers, carried by his magic. "Come, great sage, I know what you desire most. I can give it to you." Wukong's hands trembled. His 7 immortalities flared unconsciously, golden rings of light briefly visible around him. Steve burst onto the roof. "Wukong, don't!" "I know," Wukong said, voice tight. "I know it is likely a trick, an illusion, a temptation. But I have to know." Wukong looked at Steve, and in his eyes was naked longing, desperate hope. What if it is not? Central Park materialized around them in a flash of golden light. Stranger's teleportation. The full team assembled. Iron Man in Mark 85, Thor with Stormbreaker crackling, Hulk already transformed, Widow and Hawkeye taking flanking positions, Spider-Man on a nearby tree, and Wukong, staff in hand, eyes locked on the impossible vision behind Nightmare. The Lord of the Dream Dimension smiled. It wasn't kind, Great sage equal to heaven, we meet at last. Nightmare's voice was silk over razors. I've waited a long time to speak with you. You know nothing about me, Wukong said. Don't I? I am the master of dreams, of desires, of the things mortals and immortals want most desperately. Nightmare gestured to the portal behind him. I know what you see when you close your eyes, who you hear calling your name. Through the dimensional tear, the vision sharpened. Wukong could see details now, Tripitaka's gentle smile, Bajie's lazy grin, Wu Jing's quiet strength. They were laughing about something, moving forward on their journey. Together. Without him. That's not real, Tony said, repulsors charging. Standard dream manipulation. We've seen it before. Have you? Nightmare's smile widened. Tell me, Iron Man, have you seen another cosmology's heaven? Have you gazed upon the celestial bureaucracy, the Western paradise? He looked at Wukong. This is no illusion. This is real-time viewing. Your master and brothers right now in your reality, continuing the journey you abandoned. I abandoned nothing. Wukong's aura flared. I was torn from them. Does it matter? The result is the same. They travel without you, face demons without you, and they wonder, oh how they wonder, why their protector vanished. Shut him down, Steve ordered. Thor raised Stormbreaker. Lightning arced. Nightmare waved a hand. The lightning stopped mid-air, froze, dissipated harmlessly. Please, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to make an offer. Nightmare turned his full attention to Wukong. I can send you home. Silence. Even the city sounds seemed to fade. Liar, Strange said flatly. The dimensional barriers between separate cosmologies are absolute. The Living Tribunal itself confirmed this. The Tribunal confirmed it cannot be done safely, cannot be done without destroying both realities. Nightmare's expression shifted to something almost sympathetic. But what if one reality was already destined for destruction? What if the barriers were going to fall anyway? Then there would be no additional risk in sending one small monkey god home, would there? What are you saying? Wukong's voice was barely audible. I'm saying the barriers are weakening. The breach that brought you here was only the first crack. More are coming. Within a year, perhaps less, both cosmologies will collide, merge, destroy each other in catastrophic multiversal collapse. That's insane, Tony said. Friday would have detected. Your AI detects what I understands. This operates on principles beyond your science. Nightmare looked at Strange. Ask your Sorcerer Supreme. He knows I'm not lying. All eyes turned to Strange. His face was grave. There have been anomalies, dimensional fluctuations I couldn't explain. I thought they were after effects from Wukong's arrival, but if there's a larger pattern. Strange's hands moved in diagnostic gestures. Golden light flowed, his eyes widened. By the Vishanti, he's right. There are micro tears forming, dozens of them, growing. See? Nightmare spread his hands. The collapse is inevitable. The cosmologies are incompatible, like matter and antimatter touching, but I can control the process, direct it, and in the chaos of reality restructuring, I can send you home, great sage, back to your master, your brothers, your journey. The vision behind Nightmare shifted, closer now. Wukong could see Tripitaka's face clearly, could see the worry lines around his eyes. The monk looked older, tired, afraid. What is the price? Wukong asked. Ah, you understand there's always a price. Smart. Nightmare began circling, like a shark sensing blood. The price is simple. Help me manage the collapse. Your Buddha nature can stabilize the merging points, channel the energies. With your assistance, I can preserve both cosmologies, merged into something new, something I control, all realities, all dimensions, under one rule. Your rule, Steve said. Mine, yes, but also survival. The alternative is total annihilation. Every reality in both cosmological trees, dead. Trillions upon trillions of souls, erased. Nightmare stopped in front of Wukong. Or you help me, and everyone lives. In a new configuration, yes, but alive. And you go home. He's lying, Natasha said. This is what he does. Is he? Nightmare turned to her. Ask yourself, why would the living tribunal allow Wukong to stay if there was no crisis? Why the harsh conditions? Why the monitoring? He looked back at Wukong. Because they know. The cosmic entities know. The barriers are failing, and they're terrified. Wukong stared at the vision, at Tripitaka, at his brothers. Let me show you what you're missing, Nightmare said softly. Reality shifted. Wukong stood on a dusty road, the sun warm on his fur, familiar sun, home sun. Around him the landscape of Tang Dynasty China stretched, mountains in the distance, a small village to the east, the road winding westward toward enlightenment. Behind him, familiar voices. Wukong, stop wandering off. We need to make camp before nightfall. Baji's complaining voice. Beautiful. Perfect. Wukong turned. There they were. Tripitaka on the horse dragon, Baji trudging along with his rake, Wu Jing carrying the luggage with patient strength, all three looking at him with familiar exasperation and affection. Are you daydreaming again? Tripitaka asked, but his smile was gentle. Come, we still have 10 li to travel before we rest. Master, Wukong's voice cracked. I thought I'd lost you. Lost us? You were just scouting ahead. Tripitaka's brow furrowed with concern. Are you feeling well? Baji snorted. Probably ate something bad. Monkey stomach can handle anything except humility. Wu Jing chuckled quietly. It was home. It was perfect. It was everything Wukong had lost. He could smell the incense from Tripitaka's prayer beads, could hear the horse dragon's gentle breathing, could feel the weight of his staff, his real staff, unchanged by dimensions and cosmic laws. This was his world, his journey, his family. Wukong? Tripitaka dismounted, approached with concern. You're crying. Wukong touched his face. His hand came away wet. I am? What troubles you? Tripitaka placed a gentle hand on Wukong's shoulder. The touch was real, warm, solid. Tell your master. I had a dream, a nightmare, that I was torn from you, thrown into an alien world, forced to abandon our journey. Dreams often show us our fears, Tripitaka said. You fear losing your purpose. This is natural, but I am here. We are here. The journey continues. He smiled. You cannot lose what you choose to hold. Wukong looked at his master, at his brothers, at the road stretching west. All he had to do was accept Nightmare's offer. Help merge the realities. Everyone lives. He goes home, continues the journey, everything back to normal. Just help a dream demon conquer all of existence. Small price, isn't it? Wukong? Tripitaka's voice was worried now. You look troubled. I am. Wukong stepped back. Master, what did you teach me about desire? Tripitaka blinked. That desire leads to suffering. That attachment to illusion creates... Understanding dawned in his eyes. Oh, the vision rippled. No, Wukong said firmly. You are not my master. Wukong, the false Tripitaka reached for him. My master would never ask me to accept an easy answer, would never let me choose comfort over righteousness. Wukong's Buddha nature flared. Golden light burned away the illusion like morning fog, and he certainly would never exist in a dream crafted by a demon. The vision shattered. Back in Central Park, the team ready to fight, Nightmare's smile gone. You reject paradise, the demon hissed. I reject lies. Wukong's staff extended. My master taught me that enlightenment requires seeing truth no matter how painful. The truth is I cannot go home, not without destroying everything I've sworn to protect. Then you doom yourself to exile, to loneliness, to purposeless existence in a world that isn't yours. Perhaps, but better an honest exile than a comfortable lie. Wukong's eyes blazed gold. I am Sun Wukong. I once declared myself great sage equal to heaven through arrogance. I was wrong, But I learned, I grew, and I will not betray that growth by choosing my desires over the lives of trillions. Fool. Nightmare's form expanded, grew, power radiating. You think you've won? You think rejecting my offer ends this? The barriers are weakening, the cosmologies are colliding. And when they do, when reality tears itself apart, you'll beg me to take you back. You'll sacrifice anything for one more moment with your precious master. Maybe, Wukong admitted, but not today. Nightmare screamed. The sound shattered windows across Manhattan. The portal behind him exploded outward, tearing wider, larger, unstable, and through it came something vast, something that made the creature from earlier look like a minnow. Shumagorath, the Chaos Lord, the many-angled one, a being of pure dimensional entropy. Dozens of realities swirled in its singular eye. Each tentacle ended in mouths full of teeth and screaming faces. Its presence alone began unraveling the fabric of space-time around Central Park. Since you won't help me conquer realities, Nightmare said, voice gone cold, I'll just destroy them. Starting with yours, great sage, I'll tear open the barriers completely. Let your cosmology crash into this one. Watch them annihilate each other. Tripitaka, your brothers, every soul in the celestial bureaucracy, dead because you were too proud to accept help. That's not help, Steve said, shield ready. That's extortion. Call it what you want, Captain. The result is the same. Nightmare began fading. I'll be watching from the dream dimension, enjoying the show, and when you're standing in the ashes of two dead cosmologies, remember, I offered you a choice. He vanished. Shumagorath remained, its eye focused on them. On Earth, on the dimensional weak points spreading like cracks in glass. Well, Tony said into the silence. This is bad. The creature roared. Reality itself screamed in response. Across the city, rifts began opening, smaller but numerous, things pouring through. Ugh, dimensional parasites, chaos entities, reality predators. And in the distance, the sky began to tear, not in one place, everywhere. The cosmological collision had begun. Shumagorath's eye pulsed. Each blink sent shockwaves across dimensional barriers. The rifts multiplied. 10 became 20, 20 became 50, reality hemorrhaging across Manhattan. Friday, alert everyone, Tony ordered. I mean everyone. Pull in whoever we've got. Already done, sir. Falcon is inbound. War Machine is 3 minutes out. Wanda and Vision are en route from Europe. Dr. Banner, already here, Hulk rumbled, cracking knuckles the size of hubcaps. Stranger's hands moved in complex patterns. I'm sealing what rifts I can, but there are too many. We need to take down the source. The big eye thing? Peter asked, web shooters ready. The Chaos Lord, yes, but it's not fully in our dimension yet. It's using the weakened barriers to project power while remaining safely anchored in the space between realities. So we pull it through and kill it here, Natasha said, arrows already knocked. Or we push it back and seal the breach, Steve countered. Thor's lightning crackled. Either way, we fight. This, I understand. Through the largest rift, creatures poured. Not the insect-like parasites from before. These were worse. Reality warpers that made gravity optional. Chaos spawn that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Dimensional predators that fed on stability itself. And they were heading toward the city. Toward millions of civilians. Evacuation, Steve asked. NYPD is on it, shields mobilizing, but it'll take time we don't have. Tony's HUD showed the spreading chaos. We need to buy them that time. Then we hold here, Steve said. The command voice, the one that turned soldiers into heroes. Wukong, you're our heavy hitter. Thor, back him up. Tony, aerial support and crowd control. Peter, evacuation assist. Nat, Clint, eliminate stragglers. Strange, keep sealing rifts. Hulk, smash, smash. Finally, Wukong stepped forward, staff extending, to full combat length. Your battle plans are efficient, Captain. In my world, the Jade Emperor's generals could learn from this. Stick with us and you'll see plenty more. Steve's shield caught the light. Avengers! Assemble! They shouted in unison. The wave hit. Wukong moved like lightning wrapped in golden fire. His staff became a blur, each strike pulverizing reality warpers before they could destabilize local physics. A chaos spawn materialized behind him. He didn't turn, just extended his tail and impaled it. His clones erupted into existence, hundreds of perfect copies flooding the battlefield. Thor fought beside him, Stormbreaker singing through the air. Lightning cascaded from the sky, frying dimensional predators mid-flight. Where Wukong was precision, Thor was power, raw, elemental, unstoppable. "Great Sage," Thor called, blocking a tentacle with his axe. "Your left flank!" Wukong spun, 3 creatures converging. He transformed, grew 30 feet tall, massive ape form, pure muscle and fur. Grabbed 2 creatures, smashed them together. The third he kicked through a rift, sealing it behind the corpse. "Your thunder is impressive, All-Father's son. As is your might." Thor grinned through the chaos. "Let us combine our efforts." Wukong shrunk back to normal size, leaped onto Thor's shoulders, spun his staff overhead. Thor channeled lightning through Stormbreaker into the staff. The combination created a vortex of electricity and divine energy that swept across the battlefield, annihilating everything in a 100-foot radius. The ground forces thinned, but more kept coming. In the air, Iron Man danced between rifts, repulsors carved glowing lines, micro-missiles tracked multiple targets. Friday's targeting system worked overtime. 73 hostiles eliminated, 62 new contacts. "Sir, we're losing ground. Tell me something I don't know." Tony banked hard, dodged a reality warper's attack that turned the space he'd occupied into liquid time. "Where's Rhodey?" 30 seconds out. War Machine screamed into the battle space, every weapon system hot. "Hope I'm not late to the party." "Perfect timing. Take the eastern quadrant. Keep them away from Midtown." "On it." They split, covering more ground, but the rifts kept opening, kept spilling horrors. Spider-Man swung through the chaos, webbing civilians and yanking them to safety. An old woman trapped under debris. He lifted the car off her with enhanced strength. 3 kids separated from their parents. He gathered them in one arm, swung them to the evacuation zone. "Mr. Stark, there's too many civilians still in the zone." "Do what you can, kid. We're buying time, not winning." A creature lunged at Peter mid-swing. He didn't see it, but Wukong did. A clone appeared, caught the creature, tore it apart, gave Peter a thumbs up before vanishing. "Thanks, Mr. Wukong," Peter called, swinging onward. Hawkeye and Black Widow worked in perfect sync. Explosive arrows took out clusters. Widow's pistols dropped stragglers. They'd fought together so long they didn't need words, just looks, nods, trust. "Left," Natasha said. Clint fired without looking. Arrow found its mark. Behind. She was already moving, ducking under a tentacle, guns blazing. They were good, the best human operatives on the planet, but this wasn't a human fight. "We're outclassed," Clint admitted, dropping another creature. "When aren't we?" Natasha reloaded smoothly. "Just means we work harder." Hulk was in his element, smashing, breaking, destroying. A dimensional predator tried to phase through him. He grabbed it mid-phase and crushed it. Impossible, but Hulk didn't care about possible. He cared about smash. A building started collapsing, weakened by reality warps. Hulk caught it, held it steady while civilians ran out, set it down gently, then went back to smashing. Near him, Wukong fought with entirely different style. Where Hulk was raw power, Wukong was technique. Every movement efficient, no wasted energy. Beautiful, deadly precision. They ended up back to back without planning it. "You fight good," Hulk said. "You smash well," Wukong replied. They grinned. Warriors understanding warriors. Then they exploded outward in a synchronized assault that cleared 50 yards in every direction. Dr. Strange floated above the battlefield, hands weaving constantly. Every rift he sealed, 2 more opened. The dimensional barriers were collapsing faster than he could repair them. "This is futile," he muttered. "We need to stop the source." He reached out mystically, tracing the energy flows. They all led back to one point: Shuma Gorath. The Chaos Lord was the anchor point. Kill it, the rifts stop. But it remained safely between dimensions, projecting power without risk. "I need to force it through," Strange said over comms. "Fully manifest it in our reality, then we can kill it." "And the downside?" Steve asked, shield blocking 3 attacks at once. "If it fully manifests, it could tear the planet apart just by existing here. Better than letting it tear reality apart slowly." "Agreed, but I'll need time, and a lot of power." "How much time?" 5 minutes to prepare the spell, then 30 seconds of uninterrupted casting. "We'll get you the time. Everyone, protect Strange, hold the line." The team converged, formed a perimeter around Strange as he began the ritual. Golden light spiraled upward, complex mandalas layering into 3-dimensional spell matrices. The creatures sensed the threat, abandoned their chaotic assault, focused on Strange. Hundreds converged. "Here they come!" Steve shouted. The battle intensified, no longer scattered skirmishes, focused, desperate defense. Every Avenger gave everything. Tony's repulsors ran hot, energy reserves depleting. Thor's lightning came faster, brighter, less controlled. Hulk roared, smashing until his knuckles bled green. Natasha and Clint burned through ammunition. Peter's web shooters clicked empty. He resorted to pure hand-to-hand spider strength, keeping him alive by inches. And Wukong stood at the center, staff spinning in impossible patterns, body moving faster than physics should allow. His clones numbered in the thousands now, each one fighting, dying, reforming. His golden aura blazed so bright it hurt to look at directly. But it wasn't enough. A reality warper got through, struck Strange's protective barrier, cracked it. 20 seconds, Strange gasped, sweat pouring down his face. More creatures broke through. Wukong intercepted 3, Thor 5. Tony destroyed a cluster with his last micro-missile volley, but one got past everyone. Dove towards Strange, claws extended, would tear through his throat in a microsecond. Wukong saw it, too far away, moving too fast, no clone close enough. But he'd promised to protect. He moved faster than he'd ever moved, faster than light, faster than thought, burned one of his lesser immortalities to achieve impossible speed. Appeared in front of Strange, took the attack meant for the sorcerer. Claws raked across Wukong's chest, cut through his armor, through his flesh, drew blood, golden, glowing, wrong in this reality. Wukong gasped. Pain. Real pain. First time in centuries. But Strange lived. Done. Strange completed the spell. The ritual matrix exploded outward, wrapped around Shuma Gorath's dimensional anchor, and pulled. The Chaos Lords, the tentacles struck. The tentacles struck a shield of golden light. Wanda Maximoff floated down, hands glowing scarlet, chaos magic pouring from her in waves. "You're not the only one who manipulates reality." Vision phased through the tentacle, density shifting to maximum as he emerged, fist connecting with impossible force. The appendage recoiled. "Apologies for our delay," Vision said, hovering beside Wukong. European airspace was complicated. Wukong nodded, clutching his bleeding chest. The wound wasn't healing. Whatever had struck him operated on principles that bypassed even immortality. "Fall back," Steve ordered. "Regroup. We need a new plan." They pulled back 3 blocks. Shuma Gorath didn't pursue, didn't need to. It simply existed, and its existence was destroying everything. Buildings aged centuries in seconds, streets turned to liquid, the air itself screamed, and the rifts were still growing. Strange landed heavily, face pale. "The spell worked, but it's worse than I thought." Shumagorath is acting as a dimensional anchor. As long as it exists here, the barriers between cosmologies will continue collapsing. So we kill it, Tony said. Hit it with everything we've got. We can't. It's not truly here. Its existence is spread across 17 dimensions simultaneously. We're only fighting a fraction of it. Destroying this manifestation would just delay the inevitable. Then what do we do? Steve demanded. Strange looked at Wukong. His expression was grave. There's one way, but the cost. Say it, Wukong said. Your Buddha nature. It exists outside normal dimensional physics. You achieved enlightenment in a different cosmology, which means your cosmic awareness operates on fundamentally different principles than anything in our reality. If you could channel that enlightenment directly into the dimensional breach, use it as a counter-anchor. It would seal the barriers, Wukong finished. Stop the collapse. Yes, but I would have to do it from inside the breach, from the space between cosmologies. Strange nodded slowly. The energy required would burn away your connection to your home reality, permanently. The dimensional pathways that define you as a being from that cosmology would be severed. You'd become native to here, unable to ever return. The words hung in the air like executioner's axes. Additionally, Strange continued, voice heavy, channeling that much Buddha nature would consume your primary immortality, the enlightenment itself. You'd survive, but you'd be mortal, relatively speaking. You'd still have your other immortalities, strength, longevity, resilience, but the core of what makes you equal to heaven would be gone. How mortal? Wukong asked quietly. You could die, in battle, from sufficient trauma, like any other enhanced being. Thunder rolled, not from Thor, from the sky itself, tearing. Across the city, rifts multiplied. Dozens became hundreds. The dimensional collapse was accelerating. Through the tears, glimpses of other realities flickered, some familiar to Earth's heroes, some alien, and some, Wukong saw it, through one rift, his world, the celestial bureaucracy, heaven's gates, and walking toward them, 4 familiar figures, Tripitaka, Bajie, Wu Jing, the horse dragon, completing the journey, without him. How long do we have? Steve asked. Minutes, Strange said. Maybe less. Once the barriers collapse completely, both cosmologies will annihilate each other. Quadrillions dead across infinite realities. There has to be another way, Peter said desperately. We can find... There isn't, Strange said flatly. I've run every calculation, every mystical permutation. This is the only solution. Wukong stared at the rift showing his world, his home, his family. What about pulling Shumagorath fully into our dimension and containing it? Tony suggested. Seal it in the mirror dimension or something? Its existence would still destabilize the barriers, slower but inevitable. The Infinity Stones? Thor offered. Destroyed, you know this. The Celestials, the living tribunal itself. Already aware, already measuring the situation, they'll allow total collapse before intervening directly. Their protocols prevent interference until the last possible moment. By then, it'll be too late. Wukong turned away from the rift, from his world, looked at the team. These warriors he'd known for less than a day, this world that wasn't his. How does it work? He asked. The sealing process? No, Steve said. We don't ask people to sacrifice themselves. We find another way. There is no other way, Captain. Wukong's voice was calm, the calmness that came from acceptance. I asked how it works. Strange hesitated, then explained. You enter the largest breach, position yourself at the dimensional intersection point. Then you release your Buddha nature, all of it. Let it flood outward. The Enlightenment energy will act as a stabilizing force, repairing the barriers from the inside out. And Shumagorath? The influx of pure order energy into its chaos domain should destabilize it catastrophically. It'll be banished back to its home dimension, possibly destroyed outright. How long will I need to maintain the channel? 30 seconds of full release, no more. And the pain? Strange's face tightened. Excruciating. You'll be burning away part of your fundamental existence. Every nerve, every cell, every quantum particle of your being will scream in protest. I have endured pain before. Not like this. This is burning away your soul. Wukong touched his chest. The wound still bled. Golden blood, slowing but not stopping. My soul has survived worse. Wukong, listen to me. Steve stepped forward. We just met you. We don't have the right to ask this of you. You don't owe us anything. No, I owe you everything. Wukong looked at each of them. You welcomed a stranger, offered friendship, gave me hope when I had none, and now my presence, however unintentional, threatens your world, your reality. He smiled sadly. This is my responsibility. It's not your fault the barriers are collapsing, Peter protested. Perhaps not, but I am the solution, and I will not stand idle while quadrillions die because I was too afraid of pain. Another rift tore open, larger, downtown Manhattan visible through it from above, except the buildings were melting, the sky was green, and something vast moved in the streets. A reality where Shuma-Gorath had won. Decide now, Strange said. We have maybe 2 minutes before cascade failure. Wukong pulled his staff from behind his ear, let it grow to full size, ran his hand along its length. Rui Jingu Bang, the only thing from home he'd carry forward. Will I remember? He asked. After the Buddha nature is gone. Will I remember my master? My brothers? My world? Yes. The memories remain. But the connection, the dimensional pathway that defines you as a being from that cosmology, that severs. You'll remember home, but you'll never be able to return. Never even sense it across dimensional barriers. Good. Good? If I must lose my world, at least I can keep the memory of what I'm losing. He turned to Steve. You asked what I was fighting for, in Times Square. I said I protect the innocent. Let me prove that wasn't an empty boast. Steve's jaw clenched. I hate this. So do I, Captain. So do I. Wukong looked at the massive rift where Shuma-Gorath writhed. But hate changes nothing. Action changes everything. There could be side effects, Strange warned. We're operating in unknown territories. Tori, the interaction between your cosmology's enlightenment and our reality's dimensional structure will work, or it won't. Either way, quadrillions live or die based on what happens in the next 2 minutes. Wukong's eyes glowed gold. I choose life. Wanda approached. When I lost vision, I nearly destroyed a town. Grief made me hurt innocence. You're choosing to lose everything to save everyone. That's... Her voice cracked. That's the most heroic thing I've ever seen. Heroic would be finding another way. This is just... necessary. Thor placed a hand on Wukong's shoulder. In Asgard we have a saying, the brave die once, cowards die 1,000 times. You are no coward, great sage. You are the bravest warrior I have known. I've known braver. My master walked into demon territories armed with nothing but faith and a prayer wheel. Then honor his memory, Thor said, as we will honor yours. Wukong nodded, turned to Strange. What do I do? Fly to the center of the largest rift. You'll feel the intersection point. It'll pull at your Buddha nature. Position yourself there. Then... Strange took a shaky breath. Then let go. Release everything. Don't hold back. Don't try to preserve anything. Complete release. And if I hesitate? If I hold something back? The barriers won't fully seal. The collapse continues. Everyone dies. Then I won't hesitate. The largest rift pulsed. Shuma-Gorath's eye fixed on them. It knew. It sensed what was coming. Foolish monkey. Your sacrifice changes nothing. I am eternal. I am chaos. I am... Boring, Wukong interrupted. I've fought the Jade Emperor's armies. Buddha himself imprisoned me. You're just another obstacle. He summoned his cloud, golden, glowing, warm, stepped onto it. Peter swung forward. Wait, before you go. The young hero pulled off his mask, tears streaming down his face. Thank you. for saving people, for being a hero, for... He couldn't finish. Wukong smiled gently. You remind me of someone I knew. Stay optimistic, young spider. The world needs that light. Tony stepped forward, faceplate retracting. We'll remember you. Build you a statue or something. Make sure everyone knows what you did. No statues. I had enough of those in my world. Just... Wukong looked at the team, his team. Just remember that I chose this, that I wasn't afraid. That's enough. Steve's voice was thick. We'll remember, I promise. Wukong nodded once, started to rise. Wait, Natasha called. What should we tell people about why you did this? Wukong looked back, smiled. Tell them the great sage equal to heaven learned that being equal to heaven meant being willing to fall for those below. He rose higher. Tell them I finally understood what my master tried to teach me, that enlightenment isn't about rising above others, it's about lifting them up. He shot toward the rift, toward Shumagorath, toward the dimensional intersection. Steve raised his shield in salute. One by one the others joined. Tony's repulsor hand raised. Thor lifted Stormbreaker. Wanda's hands glowed. Vision stood at attention. Even Hulk, who understood little of the complexity, raised a massive fist, honoring a warrior who'd been one of them for less than a day, and would die for them anyway. Wukong reached the rift's center, felt the pull, the dimensional intersection, the space between cosmologies. He looked back one last time, saw the Avengers standing together, saw Peter crying openly, saw Steve's rigid composure barely holding, saw Strange's mystical marks ready to channel and amplify what was coming. Through a smaller rift, he caught one last glimpse of Tripitaka, his master, walking the path to enlightenment. Forgive me, Master, Wukong whispered. I cannot complete the journey with you, but I can complete a different one. He closed his eyes, released his Buddha nature, and burned. The pain started as light. Golden radiance poured from Wukong's body, not metaphorical, not symbolic, but actual luminescence. Pure enlightenment made visible. It started at his core, where his Buddha nature resided, and exploded outward in waves that washed across dimensional barriers. Shumagorath screamed. The chaos entity recoiled from the light like a vampire from the sun. Its tentacles thrashed, its eye contracted. Order energy, pure, absolute, cosmic order, flooded into its domain. Chaos and order couldn't coexist. One had to give. Chaos gave. But the price. Oh, the price. Wukong felt the first immortality burn, the one gained from eating the peaches of immortality. It manifested as a golden ring around his body, visible to everyone below. The ring glowed bright, brighter, then shattered. Fragments dissolved into the enlightenment stream. Pain, white-hot, absolute, every nerve ending firing simultaneously. Wukong screamed. "Hold on!" Strange shouted from below, hands weaving, amplifying the Buddha nature flow, directing it through the dimensional breach. Wukong tried. Gods, he tried. The second immortality burned, the elixir of life, drunk from Laozi's furnace. Another ring of light, gold turning white, turning blinding. It shattered. Pain doubled, tripled. His vision went white. His cells felt like they were individually catching fire and being snuffed out over and over, infinite deaths compressed into single moments. He kept channeling. The third immortality, immunity to the 5 elements. The ring appeared, massive, intricate with elemental symbols, earth, fire, water, metal, wood. It spun once, twice, exploded into fragments that became pure energy feeding the dimensional repair. Wukong's scream cut off, not because the pain lessened, because his throat couldn't make sound anymore. Every fiber of his being focused on one thing: don't stop, don't stop, don't. Fourth immortality, the one gained from his name being removed from the book of life and death, control over mortality itself. The ring was black and gold, covered in death glyphs. When it shattered, Wukong felt something fundamental break inside him, the certainty that he couldn't die, the knowledge that death had no claim. Gone. He could die now. He was dying now, burning himself to ashes from the inside out, but the barriers were sealing. He could feel it. The dimensional tiers closing, the cosmological collapse reversing. Keep going. Fifth immortality, achieved through mastering the 72 transformations. The ring manifested as images, all the forms he could take, had taken, would never take again. They flickered past. Tiger, dragon, flea, mountain, bird, human, each transformation flashing and fading. The ring shattered, his shape-shifting potential burned away. The light from Wukong was blinding now, a second sun in the Manhattan sky. People 20 blocks away shielded their eyes, cameras exploded trying to capture it. Every mystic on the planet felt it, a beacon of pure enlightenment, burning itself out. Below, the Avengers watched helplessly. Peter sobbed openly. "Please stop. Please, you've done enough." "He can't stop," Strange said, voice rough. "If he stops now, it's all for nothing." Tony's sensors screamed. "Friday. His vital signs. Erratic, sir. Cellular structure breaking down. He's... I know." Tony's voice cracked. "I know. Sixth immortality burning. The one from achieving mastery over life essence itself." The ring appeared, pulsing, alive, covered in Sanskrit and Chinese characters that spelled out sutras about eternal life. It shone like a star. Then it cracked, spider-webbed, fell apart. Wukong's body convulsed. Blood, golden, wrong, dying, poured from his nose, his eyes, his ears. His fur was burning away in patches. His armor cracked. His flesh itself seemed translucent, the light inside too bright to be contained. But through the pain, through the death, he felt it. The dimensional barriers sealing, the collapse reversing, Shumagorath being pushed back toward its home dimension, the rifts across Manhattan closing, reality stabilizing. It was working. Just one more. The seventh immortality, the primary one, the Buddha nature itself. Wukong had sat beneath the Bodhi tree for 7 days and 7 nights, had contemplated the nature of suffering, had understood desire, attachment, the self and non-self, had achieved actual, genuine cosmic enlightenment, had become Buddha. That achievement manifested now as the largest ring. It wasn't golden, it was every color and no color. It existed in dimensions human eyes couldn't perceive. Strange saw it through mystical sight and gasped. It was the most beautiful thing he'd ever witnessed, and it had to burn. Wukong opened his eyes one last time, looked down at Earth, at the heroes who'd become friends in hours, at a world that wasn't his but had welcomed him anyway. He smiled, released the final immortality. The ring didn't shatter, it exploded. Light consumed everything. Sound ceased to have meaning. The dimensional barriers didn't just seal, they were rewritten, reinforced, made stronger than they'd ever been. The enlightenment energy flooded through every crack, every weakness, every possible point of failure, and fixed them all. Shumagorath's scream was cosmic. Its eye burst, its tentacles dissolved. The Chaos Lord was torn from Earth's dimension and hurled back through collapsing rifts, banished not just to its home realm, but imprisoned there by barriers of pure order. The rifts sealed, every single one. Across Manhattan, across the world, across the dimensional spectrum. The light faded. Silence. Wukong fell. No golden cloud caught him, no staff steadied his flight. Just gravity, pulling a broken body toward Earth. Peter moved first, webline shooting out, catching Wukong mid-fall, swinging desperately to slow the descent. Tony was there half a second later, repulsors firing, carefully decelerating. They brought him down gently. The team converged. Wukong lay on the ground, barely recognizable. His armor was ash, his fur patchy and burned. His skin, visible through the damaged fur, was scarred with golden lines that pulsed weakly. His eyes were open but unfocused. "Wukong?" Steve knelt beside him. "Can you hear me?" Wukong's lips moved. No sound came out. He tried again. A whisper, barely audible. Did we win?" "Yeah." Tony's voice shook. Yeah, you crazy, brave, stupid monkey god, we won. Wukong's hand trembled, reached up, found his staff still tucked behind his ear, somehow intact. He pulled it out. It didn't grow, didn't change size, just stayed a needle, dull and lifeless. Rui Jingu Bang, Wukong whispered. You still here? The staff pulsed once, weak but present. Good. Wukong's eyes fluttered. Good, not completely alone. Strange knelt, hands glowing, running diagnostic spells. His face went pale. Strange? Natasha asked quietly. He's alive, barely, but the cost. Strange's hands shook. His Buddha nature is completely gone, burned away, his primary immortality with it. Most of his secondary immortalities too. Strange swallowed hard. He's mortal now, enhanced, still far beyond human, but mortal. He can be killed, he can die. And his connection to his home dimension? Vision asked. Strange cast another spell, shook his head. Severed, completely. He's native to our cosmology now. The pathways that defined him as a being from the celestial bureaucracy are burned away. He can't return, can't even sense his home reality anymore. Wukong's eyes tracked to a spot above them, to where a rift had been, where he'd glimpsed his world one last time. Nothing there now, just sky, Earth's sky. Master, Wukong breathed. Bajie, Wu Jing, I'm sorry, I'm so… Shh! Steve put a hand on Wukong's shoulder. Don't talk, save your strength. For what? Wukong's laugh was small, broken. I did it, saved everyone, lost everything. His eyes found Peter's. Worth it, wasn't it? Yes. Peter was crying. Yes, it was worth it. You saved everyone. Billions of people. Infinite realities. You're a hero. Not a hero. Wukong's eyes closed. Just someone who paid what it cost. His breathing steadied, shallow but regular, unconscious, alive. Barely. Around them the city was silent, the rifts sealed, the chaos entities gone. Shumagorath banished, reality saved. And one immortal monkey god lay broken on the ground, having burned away everything he was to save a world that wasn't his. Thor knelt, bowed his head. Valhalla would welcome you, great sage. You are worthy. Wanda's chaos magic carefully wrapped around Wukong, stabilizing his failing systems. Get him to the compound. Medical. Now. Tony and Steve lifted him carefully. Wukong didn't wake, didn't stir. As they carried him to the Quinjet, Peter picked up the staff, the Rui Jingu Bang, dull now, powerless, but still present. I'll keep it safe, Peter whispered to the unconscious Wukong, until you can use it again, I promise. The team boarded. The Quinjet lifted off. Below, Manhattan began to stir. People emerging from shelters, looking up at the now normal sky, not knowing what had been sacrificed, not knowing that a stranger from another reality had given up everything, his home, his power, his very nature, to save them. In the Quinjet, Wukong's eyes flickered open briefly, saw faces, friends, family, not his original family, but family nonetheless. Thank you, he breathed, for giving me something worth burning for. Then darkness took him. And somewhere impossibly far away across dimensional barriers he could no longer sense, four figures continued a journey west. One of them, a monk in simple robes, stopped suddenly, looked up at the sky. Wukong? Tripitaka whispered. Where are you, my friend? But there was no answer, and never would be again. 3 weeks after the Battle of Manhattan, as the media had dubbed it, Sun Wukong sat in a government hearing room and tried to understand why humans loved bureaucracy so much. The room was sterile, white walls, fluorescent lights, a panel of officials behind a long table looking down at him with expressions ranging from gratitude to suspicion. He wore borrowed clothes, jeans, a t-shirt that read INY, Peter's idea of a joke. His staff rested against his chair, still dull, still powerless. He'd been recovering for weeks. The burns had healed slowly. His remaining immortalities gave him enhanced healing, but nothing like before. He still felt hollow inside, like something fundamental had been carved out and the space left empty. Senator Craddock shuffled papers. "Mr. Sun? Is that your first name, or just Wukong is fine?" "Mr. Wukong, this committee has reviewed the incident, the dimensional breach, the entity called Shuma Gorath, and your sacrifice." The senator's expression softened slightly. "What you did saved countless lives, potentially all of reality. We acknowledge that." "But," Wukong prompted. There was always a but with bureaucrats. Even the celestial bureaucracy had taught him that. "But you're still an extra-dimensional entity. Your very presence in our reality was the catalyst for the crisis." Tony Stark stood up from where he'd been sitting in the gallery. "Point of order. The crisis was caused by Nightmare using the residual energy from an accident. Wukong didn't ask to be pulled into our dimension. He was a victim." "Nevertheless, Mr. Stark. Nevertheless, nothing. He's the reason you're alive to have this hearing. A little gratitude, maybe." Steve placed a hand on Tony's shoulder, pulled him back down, then stood himself. "Senators, with respect, we're not here to argue. We're here to determine Wukong's legal status. He can't return to his home dimension. He has nowhere else to go. The question is simple. Does Earth offer him asylum, or do we turn away someone who gave everything to protect us?" The panel muttered among themselves. Wukong sat quietly. He'd faced the Jade Emperor with more arrogance than this, but that was before he'd learned humility, before he'd burned away the great sage and become just Wukong. Senator Williams spoke up. "The Sokovia Accords require registration of all enhanced individuals, monitoring, oversight." "Agreed," Wukong said simply. The panel blinked. "You agree?" "I said I would submit to this reality's laws. I meant it." Wukong met their eyes. "I will register. I will check in monthly. I will operate under your oversight. I ask only one thing in return. Let me help. Let me use what power I have left to protect people. That's all I want." More muttering, more shuffling papers. Finally, Senator Craddock nodded. "Sun Wukong is hereby granted protected status under the Sokovia Accords, Section 47B, asylum granted, monthly check-ins required with SHIELD, restricted operation parameters to be established with the Avengers Initiative." A gavel fell. It was done. Outside the hearing room, Peter high-fived Wukong. "Dude, you're officially one of us." "I'm officially monitored and restricted." "Same thing," Peter grinned. "Trust me." 6 weeks later. Morning at the Avengers compound. Wukong stood in the training room, moving through forms he'd practiced for millennia. Slower now. His body responded differently. No instant healing, no casual reality-defying strength. He was still formidable, still enhanced far beyond human, but he had limits now. Limits were strange. "You're favoring your left side," Natasha said, entering the room. She was in workout gear, ready for her own training. "Old injury, still healing. From the sacrifice." "Yes." She studied him. "Does it hurt?" "Always. But pain is just sensation. I've learned to acknowledge it without being ruled by it." "Very zen." She moved to the practice mats. "Want to spar? I promise to go easy." Wukong smiled. "I would like that." They sparred for 20 minutes. Natasha was good, excellent actually. Her technique was flawless, and Wukong, without his overwhelming power, had to actually think, strategize, adapt. It was refreshing. When they finished, both were sweating and grinning. "You're holding back less," Natasha observed. "I'm learning my new limits. It's humbling." "Good. Humble looks good on you." She tossed him a water bottle. "You joining us for the briefing?" Tony found something weird in the Atlantic. "Probably just Atlantis again," Wukong said, but he followed her anyway. That afternoon, Wukong walked through Manhattan, alone, just experiencing the city. People recognized him. A kid on the street pointed. "Mom, it's the Monkey King." The mother smiled. "Want to say hi?" The kid ran over, holding out a drawing. "I made this for you." Wukong knelt, looked at the crayon drawing, him surrounded by the Avengers, all of them smiling. "This is beautiful. Thank you. You saved my dad. He works in Manhattan." Wukong's throat tightened. "I'm glad he's safe." The kid hugged him, quick, impulsive, then ran back to his mother. Further down the street, street art covered a wall, the Avengers, painted in vibrant colors, and among them, added recently, a golden monkey with a staff, light radiating from his chest. Wukong stared at it for a long time. Evening, the compound rooftop, the same spot where he'd stood with Steve weeks ago, looking at alien stars. The stars were still alien, still wrong, but less painful now. "Mind if I join you?" Wukong turned, Steve Rogers holding 2 beers. Wukong took one. "Any regrets?" Steve asked, the same question as before. "Every day." Wukong sipped the beer. "I miss them, my master, my brothers, my world. I dream about the journey sometimes, wake up reaching for something that isn't there. But I don't regret my choice. That's the strange part. I lost everything, and I'd do it again." Steve nodded, understanding. Because it was the right thing. Because people, trillions of people, get to live because I burned. Wukong looked at the city lights. "In my world, I was the great sage equal to heaven. Arrogant, powerful, above everyone. Here I'm just Wukong, mortal, limited, flawed. And somehow, that's enough." He smiled. "My master spent years trying to teach me that true strength comes from choosing to help, not from being able to help effortlessly. I never really understood until now." The rooftop door opened. Peter emerged carrying pizza. Again. "Figured you guys would be up here. It's like your spot now." He set the box down. "Also, Mr. Wukong, there's a thing tomorrow, a street fair. Kids are asking if you'll show up. Maybe do some cloud tricks or something." "I can't summon clouds anymore." "Oh, right. Sorry, but I can do the 72 transformations still. Somewhat. Would that be acceptable?" Peter's face lit up. "That would be amazing." They sat together, 3 warriors from different times, different worlds, eating pizza, watching the city. "Can I ask you something?" Peter said. "That last moment before you released everything, were you scared?" Wukong was quiet for a long moment. "Terrified. I thought about running, about letting someone else handle it, about preserving myself." He looked at Peter. "But then I remembered all the times my master faced danger and didn't run, all the times he chose the hard path because it was right, and I thought, if a mortal monk can be that brave, what excuse does an immortal have? But you're not immortal anymore." "No, but I learned something important. Immortality is easy. Living with purpose is hard. Choosing to sacrifice when you could choose safety, that's what makes a hero." Steve raised his beer. "To sacrifice." They clinked bottles, drank, sat in comfortable silence. Below, the city lived, millions of people going about their lives. Most didn't know Wukong's name, didn't know what he'd given up, didn't know that a stranger from another reality had burned away everything to save them, and that was fine. He didn't need their recognition, didn't need statues or prayers or celestial titles. He needed this moment, these friends, this purpose. Tony's voice came over the compound speakers. "All right, team meeting. We've got movement in the Atlantic. Looks like Namor's in a mood again. Who wants fishman duty?" Steve stood, stretched. "That's us. You coming, Wukong?" Wukong pulled his staff from behind his ear. It was still dull, still diminished, but it was his, the one piece of home that remained. "Yes, I'm coming." They headed for the briefing room. Peter swung ahead, already chattering about submarine tactics. Steve walked beside Wukong, shield on his back, steady presence. Wukong paused at the door, looked back at the rooftop, at the stars. Somewhere impossibly far away, his master continued a journey. His brothers walked a path Wukong could never return to. His world turned without him. But here in this world he had a different journey, different brothers, different path. And maybe that was the final lesson, the one Tripitaka had tried to teach him all those centuries. Home isn't where you come from, it's where you choose to stand, and who you choose to stand with. Wukong had stood under heaven itself and declared himself equal. Now he stood beside mortals and felt complete. He entered the briefing room, took his seat among the Avengers, his team, his family. The great sage equal to heaven was gone. But Sun Wukong, hero of Earth, remained. And that was more than enough. Far away, in dimensions he could no longer sense, Nightmare watched through his scrying pool. The Monkey King, diminished and mortal, laughing with his new allies. "Enjoy your happiness while it lasts, great sage," Nightmare whispered. "You've merely delayed the inevitable. The barriers may be stronger now, but they can be broken again. And when they are..." He smiled darkly. "When they are, I'll make sure you watch everything you've saved burn." The pool rippled, went dark. But somewhere in Manhattan, Wukong felt nothing. No premonition, no warning, just contentment. For now, that was enough. Sun Wukong's journey in the Marvel Universe has just begun. He sacrificed his Buddha nature, his primary immortality, and his connection to home. But he gained something equally valuable: purpose, belonging, and family. He is no longer the great sage equal to heaven. He is something better.
He is a hero who chose sacrifice over safety, who burned away divinity to save strangers, who learned that true strength comes not from being above others, but from standing beside them. And when the next threat comes, when Nightmare returns, when new challenges arise, he'll face them not as an immortal god, but as Sun Wukong, Avenger, mortal, limited, flawed, and absolutely unstoppable.